USS Fitzgerald, missing sailors found dead in flooded area of ship. The bodies of some of the 7 U.S. Navy sailors missing after their destroyer collided with a container ship off the east coast of Japan have been found. U.S. and Japanese ships and aircraft launched a huge air and sea search for the crew, but a number of bodies were found on Sunday in the flooded quarters of the damaged destroyer USS Fitzgerald, the U.S. 7th Fleet said in a statement. As search and rescue crews gained access to the spaces that were damaged during the collision, the missing sailors were located in the flooded berthing compartments, it said. They are currently being transferred to Naval Hospital Yokosuka, where they will be identified. The families are being notified and being provided the support they need during this difficult time. The names of the sailors will be released after all notifications are made. The Fitzgerald, with the help of tugboats, had arrived back at its home port of Yokosuka Naval Base, south of Tokyo, on Saturday evening. The other vessel involved in the pre-dawn collision, the Philippine-flagged ACX Crystal, berthed at Tokyo Soi Wharf, where its crew was questioned by investigators. 3 people aboard the destroyer were medically evacuated, including Commander Bryce Benson, who was reportedly in a stable condition after being airlifted to the U.S. Naval Hospital at the Yokosuka base, the Navy said. The other 2 injured crew members were treated at the hospital for cuts and bruises. The U.S. 7th Fleet said the collision damaged 2 berthing spaces, the machinery room and the ship's radio room. Most of the more than 200 sailors aboard the Fitzgerald would have been asleep at the time of the incident. Water had to be pumped out of flooded areas before the crushed mid-right side of the ship could be searched, the statement said. This has been a difficult day, said Vice Admiral Joseph Aucoin, commander of the 7th Fleet on Saturday. I am humbled by the bravery and tenacity of the Fitzgerald crew. Now that the ship is in Yokosuka, I ask that you help the families by maintaining their privacy as we continue to search for our shipmates. Rear Admiral Charles Williams, commander of the Naval Task Force in the area, said, I want to highlight the extraordinary courage of the Fitzgerald sailors who contained the flooding, stabilized the ship, and sailed her back to Yokosuka despite the exceptionally trying circumstances. Donald Trump tweeted thanks to Japan for its assistance in the search mission, saying, thoughts and prayers are with the sailors of USS Fitzgerald and their families. Initial fears that the guided missile destroyer was at risk of sinking receded after U.S. Navy officials said flooding in 3 damaged sections of the vessel had been brought under control. While the cause of the accident has yet to be determined, Japan's public broadcaster NHK said the ACX Crystal had made a sharp turn shortly before the collision. Nippon Yusen KK, the Japanese company that charters the container ship, said in a statement it would cooperate fully with the Coast Guard's investigation. All 20 Filipino crew members aboard the ship were safe, it added. Japanese and U.S. officials were discussing how to conduct the investigation. Japan is permitted to investigate since the collision happened in its waters, but under the country's Status of Forces Agreement the U.S. has primary jurisdiction over incidents involving vessels such as the Fitzgerald. Japan's Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy plan to question crew members from the ACX Crystal, and could treat the collision as a possible case of endangerment of traffic caused by professional negligence, Kyodo News said. At about 29,000 tons displacement, the container ship is more than 3 times the size of the 8,315-ton Fitzgerald, and was carrying 1,080 containers from the central Japanese port of Nagoya to Tokyo. Once an investigation is complete, then any legal issues can be addressed, a spokesman for the U.S. 7th Fleet said. The Fitzgerald, part of an 8-ship squadron based in Yokosuka, had in February completed $21 million worth of upgrades and repairs. U.S. military commanders in Japan briefed locally based relatives at a family support center at 9:45 a.m. Before the meeting, one concerned parent wrote on the ship's Facebook page, "The news just reported 7 missing sailors. This is making my heart ache. Please let us know soon. Praying for all aboard." Another posted, "My daughter is on this ship as well. We are messed here. Praying for all sailors." Rita Shrim SHR, whose 23-year-old grandson Jackson Shrim SHR was aboard, told the Associated Press about the agony of waiting for news from Japan until he contacted her to say he was safe. She tweeted, "Just heard the sweetest voice and saw a wonderful face. He's okay. Thank you all for the prayers." For relatives who could not make it to the support center, The military provided phone numbers to call for information. Aerial news footage showed the ACX crystal bow on the left side had been dented and scraped, but it did not appear to have suffered major structural damage. The Fitzgerald, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, was commissioned in 1995 and was originally based in San Diego, California. It was deployed in a carrier strike group that assisted the war in Iraq in 2003. The Fitzgerald changed its home port to Yokosuka in 2004 as part of a deployment to counter ballistic missile threats worldwide, according to the official history. In November 2011, the then U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton met the Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary, Albert Del Rosario, on board the ship to sign the Manila Declaration backing multilateral talks to resolve maritime disputes. The Fitzgerald had been active in Japanese waters to monitor the Korean peninsula following the series of ballistic missile launches by North Korea. It also took part in relief efforts after the March 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan.